Hey everybody, my name is Sarah Harnish. I'm a diamond in Young Living and I'm the author of the Game Plan series. Game Plan is the complete strategy guide to go from starter kit to silver. And this is boot camp. You've made it all the way to day 8. I'm so proud of you. If you're following along, you want to make sure on Amazon or on the website that you grab the updated second edition. You see the blue line across the top of it, all right? We're also using as a tool for this the second edition workbook, Game Plan workbook. And thank you so much for giving up your time and for getting on with me eight days, and we're going to be going 12 days. This is boot camp and double time. I have a new addition to the Harnish family that want to say hello to everybody. This is Mr. Simba. He is 8 weeks old. He really loves live video. There you go, buddy. You say hi to everybody? He's like, no, I'm out of here. Yeah, we love teaching our kids responsibility, and so our 14-year-old just got a kitten. And yeah, our dog, our white Labrador, is not terribly happy with him, but they're brother and sister now. So, all right, let's jump right into our training for tonight. So this is a nuts and bolts day. You're gonna have to just bear with me a little bit on this one. We're just kind of getting through it tonight. FDA compliance training. So if this is the thing that's been holding you back in your business, tonight it's over. Not going to hold you back anymore, all right? Not going to hold you back anymore. I'm going to talk you through FDA compliance training in its simplest form. And then we're also going to talk about the compensation plans, compensation plan for the simpleton. All right, make it super, super easy. Our oil of the night, I've got 3 of them. Clarity, really good one when you have to talk the comp plan. Rosemary, there's even a rosemary vitality. That sucker might not be too bad to take internally before this class. And then one of my favorites for comp plan training, common sense. Right? I think Gary was just having fun when he made this one. It's a terrible story to tell, but my niece, my really sweet teenage niece, did a Zyto scan, and the only thing that came up on her Zyto was common sense, which I thought was really, really funny, because any of you guys who are parents of teenagers, you're like, yep, hit the nail on the head there, my own kids included, right? So, all right, we're going to start right with the FDA. Jump right in on that thing. And my goal is not to scare you. So if you're following along, you're in chapters 16 and 17 in the book out of 25 books. We're like in it to win it. We're in the home stretch now. I cannot believe how well you guys have done keeping up with me. And if you're just joining, it's okay. It's all right if this is your first night on boot camp. You just enjoy it and then hang with us the rest of the training. We're going to have 4 more videos after this, and then I'll shoot a little bonus video that you can choose to include in your own boot camps or not. That will be on the appendix, but you're not required to watch that as part of your team trainings. I just want to give you a little more meat and potatoes on the appendixes because they're liquid gold. I'm going to shoot them both on Saturday so that they're done. So if you're watching in the live version, then Saturday is your date. If you're watching this on the replay, then whatever date your leader gives you, that's your date, right? That's your date. So, all right, the reason I'm doing FDA compliance training is it's not to scare you, it's to keep you safe, Why did I write Game Plan? What was my whole purpose in writing Game Plan? I want you to get to diamond. That's my goal, is your diamond ship. And so this book is like my embarrassments all in one place. It's like 350 pages of all my embarrassments. I just kind of collected them all, put them all in one spot and said, hey, you know what? If I can put some of my dirt out there, then maybe it'll keep some other people safe, and maybe it'll shave some time off the time that it takes for you to rank. So right after I started my business, I was putting stuff everywhere, every photo I could find, every before and after shot I could find, anything I was putting up there. And of course, that got me flagged for FDA compliance really, really fast online. And they gave me a period of time to try to clean up my Facebook page. Well, then I got flagged a second time about 6 months later. And that was because I had put a link up on my Facebook page, and the link was fine. But there was a button on the side of that link that led people who went to it to a place of non-compliance. And so I got flagged the second time for that. So I went through and just totally cleaned up all my social media. And I thought, this is scary. It's scary if you go to log in and you can't log in, and a number pops up and says, in the virtual office, and says, hey, you're going to have to call corporate. Now, I will tell you, that was right in the heat of the FDA crackdown, 2014. I started my business 8 weeks after that whole thing went down. So I've seen a lot of changes in the last 4 years in how Young Living handles things, and seeing my own leaders go through the process of compliance. You don't need to be afraid. It's not as stringent as it was when I went through the whole thing. Matter of fact, I think that our compliance team at corporate is amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. They're not out to get you. They're out to protect you. They want to protect the distributors. And so they do an amazing job encouraging you, letting you know where the pitfalls are, keeping you safe, giving you good training, not just telling you what to fix, but also training you on how to do it. And so just a huge shout out to corporate. So if you get flagged for something, you don't need to be scared of it. Just like you're not scared if you get put in Facebook jail, right? You're not afraid if you get put in Facebook jail, and you're not going to stop posting on Facebook because your account gets put on hold for a couple of days, right? So treat your business the same way. Clean it up, keep going. You get a speeding ticket when you're driving your car. You're going to stop driving your car everywhere? No, right? And the Lord, yes, Lucy, you hit the nail on the head, right? All right, the Lord does not call us to live in a spirit of fear. So let me give you a little background to FDA compliance. You understand the why behind the message and the why behind the rules. So if this is your sticking point, this is the place you're really like, all right, maybe tonight is really, truly going to bless you. Really, truly going to bless you, all right? If you talk about oils for treating disease, that's where you're going to get in trouble, okay? Because oils are not classified as medications. Young Living is a wellness company. So wellness company. So when you're frustrated that the medical system is not out there going after the root cause of things, you can rest easy knowing that's your line of work. That's what you do. It's all about preventative maintenance. It's all about supporting the body so the body can do its own fighting, right? Giving the body a leg up so it can go out there and it can kick some of those things to the curb that you're dealing with. And that's where oils come in. They're for supporting systems. All right. And you always word things in that way, because the minute that you start saying, oh yeah, I used my oil to treat X, Y, Z, that's where you get busted. All right. That's where you get busted. And I don't want you to get busted, because oils have not been approved for that kind of language in the United States. Despite what you guys have seen or may not have seen, we just can't talk about it in that way. All right. And I'm going to give you some moral issues on why that's a good idea in just a minute. Why is the FDA going after people? I get asked that all the time. It's not really accurate. The FDA is not going after people. They've had the same rules in place, since the 1930s. So it's not like they just came up with a rule and said, okay, we're going to go after every network marketing company. We're going to go after every, look what happened in the Industrial Revolution. You had companies putting out things like crazy. You had some companies making things with arsenic in them and with lead in them. You had lead-based paint. In today's terms, you have some vitamin companies putting wood chips in their vitamins, right? So the FDA was an entity that was designed to protect the American people. They put certain rules in place, and unless you have the science in the back and to be able to make claims, you're not allowed to make those claims, right? You're not allowed to make them. So they're not a bad organization. They're a good organization that's there for the protection of you, for the safety of you. So why doesn't Young Living just become FDA certified? I had which by the way, there's no FDA certification. You'd have to take every oil and go through the approval process for every single oil, for every single claim you want to make, which would be billions and billions and billions of dollars to be able to do that. But I asked Mary Young once, when I was on the Gold Retreat, I pulled her aside and I said, Mary, why? There's this huge crackdown. Everybody's getting in trouble for saying every word they can't say. And yeah, Lisa Watt just mentioned the hot words list in the virtual office under member services. Great list, but it doesn't hit everything. So the things I got burned on were not on that list, right? It hits a lot, but not everything. And so I just asked her, I said, why? Why don't you, Young Living is doing very, very well. Why don't you just go through, get the approvals so that we can get some of our speech back, so we can say some of these things, that we believe that we have seen. And she looked at me and she said, Sarah, she goes, Gary and I made a promise that oils would be for everybody in the world. Everybody in the world. And do you know what that means? That means if you're living in a hut in Africa, we want to make sure the oils can get to you. That means if you have no money and you're living in America, that oils can get to you, right? That means if you live in a little village in Nepal and an earthquake takes out your entire village, and it's one of 19 villages that are level to the ground, that we can bring you oils. Right? We want oils to be for everybody. The minute that we go through the approval process, then to get an essential oil, it's now considered, a medical term, a medical prescription. You'd have to go to your doctor. You'd have to get a prescription. You'd have to have that prescription filled. Now, if you didn't have good insurance, they might give you generic oils or garbage, stuff that's been stripped and adulterated and all that wouldn't have any effect on the human body. And we made a promise that it didn't matter whether you were rich, whether you were poor, whether you had a lot in your account, didn't have a lot in your account, good insurance, bad insurance, oils would be for everybody in the world, right? What's Gary's mission is to bring oils to every home in the world. And that doesn't matter how much you make, right? And so she said, we're never going to seek FDA approval for every single oil because it's against our mission. It's against our mission statement. And I deeply respected that. Now, what they have done, what we are allowed to do, is we have some oil-infused products that Mike Book has been doing an amazing job with the testing labs, multiple testing labs, getting FDA approvals for certain products. Now, the product is not the same as the oil, right? You can't look at the bug spray, the insect repellent, and say, oh, well, citronella has the same effect as citronella's in it. You can't say that. When you make claims on it, or you're doing a DIY and you make claims on the DIY, that's when you really can get burnt, all right? So make sure the language you're using is the language that's on the website. Mike was telling me at the Diamond Retreat, we're now allowed to say arthritis, right? With that Cool Azul pain cream. We weren't allowed to say those words before. So we are getting back some of our speech with some of these oil-infused products, like the language we're allowed to use for the SPF 50 sunscreen. That was approved by a cancer board for preventing skin cancer, right? We're allowed to actually associate the word cancer with our sunscreen. So you just got to be very careful what you say. Yes, the Vitality oils. All right, there isn't an approval by the FDA. There is a GRAS. It's not even a certification. It's a designation, a GRAS designation, which means that it's basically approved as a food additive. All right, so GRAS oils, generally regarded as safe. There's a whole list of them on the FDA website, tons of them. Those are ones that the FDA have said, hey, you know what? If you can eat grapefruit, then you can use grapefruit oil in your water, in your protein smoothie, whatever, right? Because they're generally regarded as safe. All right. Okay, so now with that knowledge, let's take a step farther into this without completely, totally confusing you guys. So you understand why Young Living doesn't go after the approvals for every single oil, right? We're clear on that. So why all the crazy rules? Because you can't say that RC can be used to support the respiratory system. Why can't you say that about RC? Because your lungs are inside your body, right? And RC is not a Vitality oil, so you can't put it inside your body. What is going on with all of that? Explain all those rules to me about internal, external. I don't even understand how to keep all this stuff straight. The FDA doesn't get that a product can be used in more than one way, right? So if you had penicillin, you wouldn't smear it on your arm topically and then take it internally and then crush it and put it in a diffuser and breathe it, right? Each of the things that they approve can be approved one way, aromatically, topically, internally. So the concept of an oil being used in more than one way is very confusing. Very confusing. So we have to seek approvals in multiple methods. And some of those oils have been approved in more than one way. They're aromatic, topical, internal, whatever. RC has not, as of the time of this recording, been approved for internal use. It's not an RC Vitality. So we can't say that it's for lung support or respiratory support or any of that because it's not a Vitality oil. Do you understand where I'm going, right? But we can say that you can put it topically on your chest, right? Right? Okay, so let's go a little bit farther here. Now that I've completely confused you guys, right? What do you do to fix the whole thing? What if you're thoroughly lost and now everything that you thought about FDA compliance is completely upside down? You don't know what to say. Here's my rule of thumb. Stick with Young Living's wording. All right, stick with their wording, meaning if you're not sure what to say about an oil, go to the website and see what the website says about the oils. That's been through a team of lawyers. It's already been approved. You're not sure, go to the blog. You can use Young Living's blog. You can use Young Living's website for the wording they've got. You can go look in member resources. There's a bunch of different documents on how to say things correctly. You can look on the products themselves. The labeling is the labels are stricter than the website, right? So look at what the labels say on the outside of the insect repellent or on the outside of the mineral sunscreen. That's safe language. That's a place where you're not going to get burned, all right? Just make sure that you're using words that you're not going to get in trouble using. All right, a little bit more here. Let's go a little bit farther. I told you just a little bit about my migraine stories. I thought we were allowed to use systems. It just depends where the systems are. See, if it's not a Vitality oil and you're talking about a system that's inside the body, then you're talking about internal use for an oil that's not approved internally, right? So you just gotta be very careful. Always stick with Young Living's wording and you'll be safe. Let me back this up and explain just even a little bit more to you guys. I told you on one of the other boot camp videos earlier on that I was a migraine sufferer for 24 years, and then I cured my migraines with diet. It was before I ever got involved with Young Living or oils, but it was what got me started on a clean living lifestyle. I had my first migraine headache when I was 12 years old, and I had them all the way into my 30s. And by the time I started having kids in my 20s, I would have drooping on the right side of my face. You could see it, you could see my eye and my mouth. My right side would be weak. I would drop things. If I picked up a stack of books and I had on my right and in my left hand, I would drop the books on the floor. I was in debilitating, excruciating, awful pain 10 days a month. And it was always on a bell curve, followed my cycle. And at the peak of it, I would be in bed, grabbing my knees, writhing, vomiting, and having diarrhea. So sorry guys, if you just met me for the first time tonight, my name is Sarah Harnish. I'm a diamond, and you're gonna learn a lot of gross things about me during this boot camp training. It was terrible. It was awful. And the biggest battle with migraines is dehydration, because you get into this cycle where you can't keep anything down because the pain is so bad that you literally vomit everything up. And for me, that was 10 days a month. It was terrible. So I would go into the emergency room most months, and I would get what was called a migraine cocktail, which is a trio of 3 different drugs that they give you intravenously. It was a pain medicine, an anti-inflammatory, and then something to help that cycle of nausea and throwing up constantly. And then you wait till it knocks you out flat, and you have somebody come pick you up, and you go home and you try to suffer through the worst of it. I had been through 13 neurologists. I've been through 16 different families of migraine medicines over 24 years. And the last couple of years, I went in, and they were so bad. The migraines were so bad that they started doing these yearly MRIs on me. And what they were finding was that the blood in the blood vessels on my head, it was under so much pressure during these migraines that it was pressing against my skull and causing these little pinprick brain bleeds, so little tiny brain bleeds. And so every year when I would go in for another MRI, they would find about 30 to 40 spots of dead tissue on the surface of my brain that were brand new. And so they sent me to a headache clinic, and I went up there for 6 weeks. We did 6 weeks of testing. This is when I was 30 years old. Did 6 weeks of testing, and they sent me home with just a stack of medications, a whole bunch of them. I lined them all up on the counter. I was gonna have to take medicine every 2 hours for the rest of my life, forever. And I looked at just the steroid alone they wanted me on. It had 2.5 pages of warnings, and most of them were all heart-related warnings. And I was born with a bad heart. One of my large valves in my heart backflows, and I have a level 5 heart murmur, which is a pretty strong murmur on my heart that I was born with, that my grandfather has, and all the way up our family. And so I'm already at an elevated risk for a heart attack. And I look at this, and I'm looking at all these warnings for being on this steroid, and I'm thinking, I don't feel like this is the right choice for me. And I went back to the neurologist and I said, I feel like I'm choosing between a heart attack and a stroke. And he said, Sarah, you are, but if it was me, I would pick the heart attack, because then you're gone. He said, if you have a stroke, you're going to watch your kids grow up. And my kids then were 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. He said, you're going to watch your kids grow up and you're never going to be able to communicate to them. And for me, that would be worse. So I would recommend that you take the medicine. Right? It's going to prevent the stroke. So I went home and I'm like, that's not a good enough answer for me. And I started using my research background. I'm a news anchor. I've been a news anchor for 22 years. You guys can listen to me. I still fill in. I'll be on 10 days in the month of August. And we broadcast all around the world, fln.org. I do all the shifts, but I was on Morning Drive for 10 years of the morning show. Now I just fill in because I'm a diamond, so I do it for fun. All right, but I'm trained to research. Every day I come in, I read 39 newspapers. I broadcast an audience of 5 million people. I watch all 7 networks. I know every angle that every network is taking on every story before I even begin my news cycle. And if I have a Democrat, I got to balance with a Republican. If I've got somebody who is pro-life, I got to balance with somebody who's pro-choice. If I have somebody who's anti-Common Core, that one I might just leave alone. I might just let that soundbite just go and not balance that story out, right? But I'm trained to always look for the other side and always research and always listen for the other side, which is where that training and compiling things and researching and all of that came in very, very useful for game plan. Because when I put this together, I read 42 books on network marketing. I compiled over 1,800 questions off of all the business pages. I interviewed over 70 diamonds to write it and then compiled it all, because that's what I do in the newsroom. Every time I do a shift is I compile. And so I took all that news training, and I wanted to know, had anybody out there ever been cured of migraines? And I stumbled on a woman named Natasha Campbell McBride, who's a Russian neurologist, and she had written a diet called Gut and Psychology Syndrome, the GAPS diet. It is the most masochistic diet you'd ever even imagine going on. It's not a lifetime diet. You get on it, you heal your gut, and you get off, right? But it's no sugar, no gluten, no dairy. And so I started on that diet, and the first month that I was on it, I still had the drooping and the weakness in my face, but I didn't have any pain. And it was the first 30-day period that I had not had any pain since I was 12 years old, 24 years earlier. The second month that I was on the diet, I had no drooping, no weakness, no pain, nothing. And January 18th will mark 7 years since I've had a migraine headache. I completely eradicated a lifelong chronic disease just through my food and through my lifestyle. And so I changed my diet, and then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, all right, so I'm not even eating the junk food of the organic world. I'm not even doing like gluten-free stuff. I can't have anything, no arrowroot powder, no tapioca flour, like none of that, no rice flour, no potato flour. Can't have any of that stuff on GAPS. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking up, and I've got bright blue dish soap that we're washing our dishes with like 3 kinds of dye in it. And then I grabbed my surface cleaner, I'm spraying it on. It says poisonous, not for human consumption. And I can pick up my butcher block that I just sanitized with my poisonous surface cleaner, and I breathe it in 3 days later, and I can still smell it on there. And I'm cutting strawberries on it and then giving my kids those little poisons strawberries, right? That's what convicted me on turning to oils. It was a lifestyle change. You've got to communicate the lifestyle to people and understanding the why of the lifestyle, or they're never going to be a lifelong oiler. They're always going to see it as just one bottle, one problem, one thing I need a solution for. But if you really truly convict them on the choices in their life and say, listen, every bite you eat, everything you put on your skin, everything you breathe in, everything you allow across your front door has a consequence. Everything, whether you like it or not, it has a consequence. And you can pay for the choices you're making now, or you can pay for the choices you're making later. But it is so important that you pay attention to what is in your house. You can't control everything outside your front door, but you can protect your family in your home. And so about 3 months after I had cured my migraines, I got invited to my first essential oils class, and the rest is history, right? So when you're frustrated that people are always going after the symptoms in the medical world, know that that's the opposite of what we do. We lifestyle train, right? We train them in preventative maintenance. We train them in supporting systems. We train them in the body doing its own fighting. We train them in label reading. We train them in researching. You teach your team how to fish, and you will have a team that is die hard forever underneath you, right? You've got to teach them how to fish. Almost every person I have ever met with migraines, it always goes back to gut health. Always gut health and hormone imbalances. The hormone imbalances come from the gut health, right? So anyway, that's my story. Didn't plan on going into all of that tonight, but I want to use the story as a message to you, and that is, don't chase symptoms. You don't need to. You're in a field where you don't have to do that. Okay, you don't have to do that. Don't chase symptoms, all right? Support the body so it can do its own fighting. That's your message for this evening. So how do you stay legal when you're trying to train people to support the body? All right, how do you stay in a place where you're legal, right? Talk about where you put the oil, not why you put the oil on. Where, not why. Talk about the organ, not the illness, right? The organ, not the illness. You're not putting oils on for hair loss. You're adding rosemary to your shampoo because you like hair support, right? Organ, not the illness. If it's in the drugstore, you don't talk about it unless Young Living has an infused product that has been FDA approved, like the sunscreen or the bug spray or the Cool Azul pain cream or the throat lozenges, cough drops, right? Those have language, approved verbiage on the outside of the package that has been through the government. Single oils don't qualify as medications, so you can't just pull one oil out that's in that product and start making claims on that oil, right? Don't throw the word support support behind a disease. It's not eczema support, right? It's skin support, skin support. Always check Young Living's graphics and website for wording or the Young Living blog, right? When you're on Facebook, watch what you like. Make sure you're not going through and liking non-compliant posts. Watch what you link to. Delete non-compliant comments that are on your posts, and always look at intent. They're always looking at the why behind your choices, why you're saying the things you're doing. And if your goal is to cure disease, that's where you're going to get in trouble. And that's where you really need to watch your back. Is there a list of the products that have been approved? No. Just go to the website and look at the wording. Yeah, acne cream is another one of them. Basically stuff in the last 2 or 3 years since we brought Mike Book on, right, is stuff that you can make some of those claims on because we've already been through the approval process on it, right? Other social media, talk about how you're using the oils. If you're on Instagram, not what you're using them for. Got my diffuser going today for respiratory support. You don't need to talk about diseases in your home. And here's the other thing I want to say too, guys. This is an integrity issue. All right, these are the rules of our land. And Christ ordered us to obey the rules of our land, right? Unless they're completely against biblical principles, which this is not. It's not at all, right? So what do you do when nobody's watching? How do you run your business when nobody's watching? And this goes back to even little tiny things. Somebody on a cross-line team that has been pouring into someone who hasn't signed yet, right? Do you go up and give them a purple bag and start trying to get them on your team? What do you do in the quiet places of your business when nobody's paying attention to anything that you're doing? Those things that you think that nobody can see. Buying your rank, poaching from other teams, okay? All of that stuff. Integrity is man... Other people might not see it, but the Lord always sees what's going on. He always sees, right? And he will either bless your business and just pour that spigot and fountain over your head, or everything you touch is not going to work. And I really believe that part of it goes back to those heart issues of integrity and what you're doing when nobody's watching. Right? What did I do to get flagged? I put up testimony pictures right after I started my business, and I had to go back and delete all of that stuff. And then the second time I got flagged, I put an article up that was compliant, but that website led to places that were not compliant. So because they could click buttons on the side and it took them to a place of non-compliance, I was found non-compliant. So unless you can guarantee every single button on every single site is safe, don't link to articles. Don't just put science on your page. Don't put articles on your page. All those buttons can change like crazy. Instead, just copy the text and post it on your page. Don't ever put the link up. Then you can get in trouble for that, all right? Okay, chapter 17. See if I can do this in like 5 minutes flat. I'm going really, really fast, really fast. Oh, Eva says, I taught a class once at a table. Turns out the next table over had somebody from the FDA. Oh, my word, yeah. I had a diamond friend who had an FDA person show up in their class, because many of you guys have asked me, well, what can I just say stuff, whatever I want within the 4 walls of my home? You can, but you know the rules of the land, right? And because the oils haven't been approved for those kinds of things, then you're crossing a line morally and ethically that I don't know, as a Christian woman, I choose not to run my business that way. I'm going to do the right thing whether they're there or not. So can I teach you a sentence that's going to get you out of all of that? Let me teach you one sentence that literally solves all of your problems with the FDA, okay? So somebody comes up to you and they say, I'm just going to pick the longest medical term ever. Sarah, I've got pneumono ultra microscopic silico-vulcanconiosis, and I've suffered with it forever, like forever. Is there something in one of your guides that can help me? Like, is there an oil that can cure my disease? And they come up to you and they ask you that question, right? So then you turn to them and say, hey, you know what? Here's your sentence. So write this down. This seriously solves everything. You come up to me and say, you know what? I don't know about that. I've never had pneumono ultra microscopic vulcanconiosis. I've never dealt with that before. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. Why don't you take my oils and my diffuser and just go see how you feel? Right? Just go see how you feel. I don't have a cure for what you're looking for, but why don't you just take my stuff and maybe this is just going to give you a little hope, Maybe emotionally it's going to support you. Maybe it's going to support your skin, and maybe it'll put you in a place where you're able to research other options. Maybe this will really just emotionally turn this whole thing around for you. Right? So I just turn around and say, hey, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know. I've never dealt with that. Why don't you borrow this and see how you feel? Okay? Borrow this and see how you feel. Okay. Next chapter is the comp plan. Did we just nip? Well, that was like 20 minutes of intense FDA compliance training. So, but the message I want for you to take from that is it matters how you run your business. It matters what you do in those still, small, quiet places. And if you're still teaching non-compliantly, I know there's a lot of people out there that say do whatever you want to do in the four walls of your home. And you know what? I can't dictate the choices that you're going to make, not for your body, not for your business, not for the raising of your family or the way you relate to your spouse or the faith that you choose to believe. I can't make those choices for you, but I can tell you that we serve a great big God who will honor your integrity. And so that 101 script that I wrote, that's a compliance script. I taught that compliance script 288 times, and guess what? My OGV is over 500,000 a month. So it works. Right? Don't lead the horse to water, just salt the oats. We talked about this before. I don't have the answer to that. I'm not sure. Why don't you take this and see how you feel? All right? You're not diagnosing. You're not using the wrong language. You're not talking about treating disease, curing disease. I don't know. Just take this and just see how you feel. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even going to pretend to be a doctor. I'm not even an aromatherapist. I don't have the answers to anything, but I love how I feel when I use these. So why don't you just take it and see how you feel? Right? Yeah, exactly. Vicki says that if you do it within the four walls of your living room, you're more apt to accidentally slip when you're not in the four walls of your living room. Hey, if I skipped a chapter, I'll make it up tomorrow night. I'm sorry. Hopefully that helps you guys, all right, when you're processing FDA compliance. All right, hopefully that helps you. So now let's go on to the comp plan in layman's terms. I'm going to do this super simple. All right, super simple. I thought I did these in order, but maybe I didn't, you know. I have a habit of jumping all over the place. Let's see. What do we do? No, I did do these in order. You know what? You guys might have the older edition of the book, right? If you're in the second edition, you should be in order. Last night, we covered your business toolkit and oil of tools and tax spot and all of that. That was chapter 15. And tonight is 16 and 17. And so chapter 16 is all FDA compliance training, which we just went through. All right. And then chapter 17, which is the chapter I'm hitting on right now, is the comp plan in layman's terms. Okay, so let's go through this. So hopefully this gives you some confidence when you're out there sharing, right? No, I didn't skip chapter 15. We hit chapter 15 last night. We should be good. Last night was the business toolkit. We already did that. Yeah, that was yesterday's training. Yep, exactly. 16 is FDA compliance training, which is what we did. Yeah, so I think you guys just might have a different edition. I'm working off the second edition of the book. All right, so let's jump right into the comp plan. Yeah, I know. The second edition is loaded with stuff. Absolutely loaded with stuff. Loaded. All right, so game plan is 300 pages. I wrote 70 more. It took me a year to get those other 70 pages in there and get them interwoven into the book. That's like a quarter of the book that's new. So I'd really recommend when you're running boot camps with your own team, you work off the second edition. All right, the next chapter is the comp plan. No, we did 15 and 16 last night. I love you guys. Oh, growing your business online? Maybe I am skipping around. I don't know. If I am, we'll get it in order on the website for you. I just got so excited about FDA compliance training in our new little kit, and I just can't even function anymore tonight. Let's go through the comp plan here real quick, because that's what I've got outlined tonight, all right? Lots of material on the subject. Lots and lots and lots and lots of it. Let me just give you two other places you can go for really good in-depth training. The comp plan, there's a printable from the virtual office that explains how the compensation plan works. You can actually order them and hand them out when you're doing business training with your teams. Monique McLean, one of my favorite diamonds in Young Living. I love her. She's Royal Crown Diamond, big, huge heart for Jesus. She's got videos and training on her website and a wonderful tiny comp plan book that she just updated. And her materials are at a store called Oh My Oils, and I love it. I love her stuff. Absolutely love her stuff. So I included it in game plan because it's a resource that has everything in it. You need to be able to explain to people how they're paid. But if you want to do a class with your leaders, her stuff is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So go pop on and go check some of it out. But here's the nitty gritty of it in 60 seconds. So you ready? 4 ways that you're paid. Starter kit bonuses, number 1, and you get paid $25 per kit that you sell. Second way you're paid is Fast Start, and you get 25% of all the purchases for the first 3 months. All right, for the first 3 months. Third way you're paid is Unilevel, and that's based on where people are in your organization. You're only paid on the top 5 levels of your organization, so why would you sign somebody 20 levels down, right?
The comp plan book is by Monique McLean. She's amazing. So unilevel is how much you're paid on the people right under you. Those are level 1, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? Unilevel. After Fast Start, they slip into the unilevel system. And then the fourth way you're paid is Generations or Rising Star. They're bonuses because we work for an amazing company that just loves to love on its people. And so Generations pay is silver and above. So once you hit silver, you get Generations pay. It's awesome. It's how the diamonds can make $30,000 plus a month is Generations. Most of my check is Generations. And then Rising Star is if you're executive or below. And it's just a way of incentivizing you to keep going and keep moving up in rank. So you got all that. Starter kit bonuses, $25 per kit. Fast Start, 25% of all your purchases for the first 3 months of the person you signed. Unilevel, you get paid 8% on all your level 1s, people sign directly under you, 5% on your level 2s, so that somebody signed under you, under them, and then 4% on your level 3, 4, and 5, right? 3 deep, 4 deep, 5 deep. 8%, 5%, 4%, 4%, 4% forever. Forever, all right? And then Generations or Rising Star. Generations pay, I'm going to leave the detail on that to the book, and I have a whole blowout on it in Game Plan 2. That book is outlined and coming soon. I start writing Game Plan 2 this fall. Rising Star, let's talk about that for just a second. We're going to do a deep training on that later. You can only get these bonuses for 24 months, and then it drops off because you shouldn't be sitting at Rising, you shouldn't be sitting at executive or less for less than 24 months because if you're out there teaching a class a week, it doesn't take more than 24 months to be able to rank up. So Young Living gives you 2 years to hit silver and not lose those bonuses. You can earn up to 6 shares that are $40 to $50 a piece. So you could get about $240 to $300 in bonuses and Rising Star bonuses if you structure your organization in a way that you can cash in on the bonuses. And when we do our strategy training, I'll hit on that really hard. We'll go all the way through that. So starter kit bonuses, right? 25 per kit. And it depends whether you are the enroller or the sponsor, how much you get paid. And you can't keep enroller and sponsor straight. Super easy. E comes before S, right? So E is the higher rank. You can't sign somebody above you. Can't sign them above you, right? So enroller is the higher rank. E comes before S. Fast Start, 25% on all purchases for the first 3 months. When you first start, most of your paycheck is going to be Fast Start and starter kit bonuses. As you rank higher in Young Living, most of your paycheck is going to be Unilevel and Generations. And if you want to see the breakdown of what that looks like, you can go into the virtual office under My Account and you can see your commissions. And if you click on your paycheck, it'll break down exactly how you got paid. You can see how much a starter kit bonus is for every single check you've ever had. Fast Start, Unilevel, Rising Star, it's all broken down. You can see exactly what you're getting. So what if you're on the low end of the income disclosure guide, right? What if you're on the low end, meaning they say silvers make $2,200 a month and you're making like $1,800 a month and you're a silver and you don't understand, right? You don't understand it. Yes, 7 and 8 can help your OGV for sure. And you will get paid deeper than 5 levels when Generations comes into play, but we'll save Generations training later on because that only affects you if you're silver and above. Let's talk about how to get the biggest paycheck possible. I'll spend 2 minutes on that and then I'll let you guys go, all right? You want to learn about how to get the biggest paycheck possible? I'm actually giving you some Game Plan 2 training here. I haven't written this yet, but I've been watching very, very closely since I hit Diamond, the ebb and flow of my check and how to get the highest check humanly possible. So what if you were on the low end of the income disclosure guide? What if you're on the low end of that guide? Usually you're the one doing the work then and you're bringing your team behind you. You're pulling your team behind you. You're the one assigning most of the kits or you're out there hustling a lot, right? If you're on the high end, then that means you've got rock stars underneath you and your OGV is already high and you're waiting for your legs to catch up, right? Your legs aren't in place because you got others people working underneath you. And so your weak legs haven't caught up with the volume in your OGV from your rock stars. So don't be discouraged if your check isn't as high as the income disclosure guide has because it just depends how you bill. Right? It just depends how you build. So my mother's been a distributor for 2 years. Can she not qualify for Rising Star? You have to hold the rank. So it depends whether or not she's ranked because that's when your countdown starts is based on rank. So when she hits star and how long it takes from there. So why is network marketing better? It's because you make more when you help other people, right? It's the best job there is. It's a big old circle. If you keep laying the bricks down and signing people, then your check grows one relationship at a time, one relation at a time. So the quickest way to spike your check, fastest way to do it, here's the whole secret. You ready? Collect silvers. Collect silvers. in your organization. It's the fastest way to grow your paycheck. So I said we're going to hit on it really hard in game plan 2, but for those of you that are already hit silver, you can't get paid on silvers until you are a silver. So you have to hit silver first, and then you start collecting them. So en route between silver and gold, collect as many silvers as you possibly can. Always build in sets of 2 underneath your leaders. Always, always, always. You don't need to build 15 legs wide. You don't need 15 legs, right? You only need 6 to be a Royal Crown Diamond, 7 if you want a bonus leg just in case, right? Anything happens, which is the way Rising Star is structured. You don't need 15 legs wide, and you don't need 70 people deep. You don't need to be signing them that deep, right? But if you sign in sets of 2 underneath your leaders, then you're bringing them with you. You're bringing them with you to executive. You're bringing them with you to silver. And so the way generations pay works, it's actually 2 different types of pay, but one of the generations pay, you get paid about $125-ish. It does fluctuate a little bit per silver. So if you have 5 silvers, just them existing on your team and holding rank would add $625 a month to your check, just for having them on your team. And then the next month, $625. And the next month, $625, right? If you had 10 silvers, that would be almost $1,300. Just for having them on your team, just for them holding the rank, right? And so a diamond with 50 silvers would make $6,000 a month extra on their check just in generations, in half of the generations pay. It's not all of it, right? That's why the diamonds make so much money, and that's why generations pay is awesome, and that's why you need to get out there and change people's lives and not just focus on your rank, but on the ranks of all your leaders, and always pull people up with you. Always, always, always take them with you on the journey. Build in sets of 2. Don't just sign people willy-nilly underneath somebody. Always sign in sets of 2 and build silvers. Bam. Yep, exactly. So look into your organization, find all the people that are closest to silver, and teach in their weak legs so that you can bring them with you, even if they don't see it yet, because that's how you blow up your check the fastest. Okay? That's how you blow it up. So Patty says, I'm confused a little since I have people below me, but not wide. You don't want to be super wide. You only want 6 legs because that's what you need for Royal Crown Diamond. All right. Okay. Other ways to spike your check. I'm just giving you some bonus material here. This is all in game plan 2. So get as many people as you can to convention, because that's mindset training. That's fire. That's them getting to see Mary Young and the boys and all of that. So the first year I went to convention, I had 2 people. Second year I had 25, and third year I had 57 that I went to convention. And our OGV is just right, because I'm not the only one fired up. Being the only person at convention, they're all fired up. And that goes with all training. Eric Worre, Danny Johnson, get as many people as you can to events, because butts and seats equals a bigger paycheck. Yeah, sets of 2, meaning you sign somebody under your level 1, you sign another person under your level 1, and you build in sets of 2 underneath your leaders. Don't just sign 10 people under a level 1, right? Sign in sets of 2 so that you're building legs so you can bring them with you. All right, other ways to spike your check. Seriously, guys, do game plan boot camp with your teams. It's great for you to have it in your head, but for your leaders to have it in your head, then you got the most powerful tool in your business, which is duplication, right? We'll talk about that in a second. As soon as boot camp ends, train 2 to train 2. Or take these videos and go do a team-wide boot camp with your teams. As soon as this ends, super easy to do boot camp. You make sure everybody's got a book. It's already written for you. You don't have to generate any materials. Make sure everybody's got a book. Make sure everybody's got a workbook. 12 days they got to hold out. 12 days of training. They can do it. Have them watch a video, read 2 chapters of the book, do 2 sets of worksheets. You don't have to rewatch the videos again. You just have to be an accountability partner. Tell me your excuses. Show me pictures of your vision boards, right? Tell me your distractions. Where are you stuck? What are you really having a hard time with, and what's the way out of that? Just be an accountability partner. Run boot camps with your team. It goes with your OGV, blows up your OGV. All right. One of you guys just said, I need business builders. I am going to train you how to do that too. All right. I'm going to train you how to do that too. So consider contests and awards that are within your budget to incentivize them and get them moving. And when I first started, for me, that was coaching, or it was a roll-on. Now I do infuse 7 kits and every now and then an aroma complete kit, right? Because we're diamonds and we can afford a little bit more gifting on our team. But when I first started, I'm really big on working within the 4 walls of your budget. And so don't spend more just to build your team bigger, right? Don't do that. You work within what your check is right now already. So launch a Facebook page with the leaders that are working with the ones that are out there. Do a weekly Facebook Live consistently on your business page, on your page with your team. When I first started doing Facebook Lives, I had 8 people on my Facebook Lives. And by the end of 1 year of consistently doing it every single week, Jonna, exactly the tips I'm giving you right now. How do you refire a team that's fizzling out? What I'm telling you to do right now. That's how you reignite your team. All right. Weekly Facebook Lives. And by the end of the year, I had 800 getting on every single week. And we still, I mean, there are times where I'll have 2,200 people getting on my team trainings that I do with my team every single Tuesday night. So run with those who are running. Another huge, wonderful piece of advice I can give you. At the end of every month, go back and look at all the people who sold kits. And those are the people you work with. You make a list of them all, you get them doing boot camp, you train the tar out of them, you get them to events, get them fired up, do a training with them every single week on your business page, and you get them all running in the same direction. Then if you want to have a little fun, you pit them all against each other and you run some contests, right? Get them all excited and all fired up, all right? Run with the runners. Run with the runners. So your greatest tool in the business is duplication. Duplication, guys. You teach a class, you just taught 1 class. You have 5 teaching, you just taught 6 classes in the same space, right? You go teach class on a Saturday, you got 5 leaders teaching class on a Saturday, you just taught 6 classes. So let me give you just a couple quick tools, and we have a chapter on finding leaders in the book, and so I am going to go through this with you a little bit more. But let me just show you a couple of things. If you go to oilabilityteam.com, Roundtable is right here on this page. All right, we'll do it after boot camp. So you go to oilabilityteam.com. Do you see the button that says Start Here? This video, Sarah's Why video, I shot that on my 3-year anniversary with Young Living. It was the night before I moved out of my home where my kids were living in the garage. All right, you have people in your team that are a poverty mindset. Yes, I'm bawling my eyes out there. You have people on your team that just do not catch the vision of where this goes. This is a wonderful tool to use. Use If I Will You, Eric Worre. Hey, watch this. It's a half hour. Watch it and then talk to me, right? Just talk to me because you need to understand where this goes, right? You need to understand where this goes. All right, another thing is you just might not be talking about the business in your classes. So I actually don't teach business classes, like ever. What I do is teach a lot of 101s, tons of 101 classes, right? And at the end of every 101, I say, hey, you want to learn how to get your oils for free? Read this. I just give this little book out to every single person who comes to class. It's called Your Game Plan, Build a Life Beyond Survival Mode. It shares our story out of poverty. It's got the income disclosure guide in the center of it so they can see what each rank makes and stack that up against their current job. Goes through all the whys in a Young Living business, willable income for their kids, better than a 401k, better than life insurance, right? Willable income and network marketing is one of your greatest assets for selling the business. And then it gets them stacking up what they're doing for work against Young Living and honestly looking at them side by side. This book's a powerhouse and it's $1, right? It's $1. So what I do is at the end of my classes, I hand that out to everybody and then I touch base with them when I'm building the relationships because it's a 15-minute read to read that book and it gets them truly evaluating Young Living as a business opportunity. So I don't teach business classes. I just teach 101s and say, hey, this is how you get your oils for free. Read the book. Read the book. If you can sit on a couch and read a 3-page script, you can do this, right? You can do this. So those are some of my, and the other thing I'll tell you too is if you aren't finding leaders, you haven't taught enough classes yet to find your leaders. You got to teach more classes, all right? Got to teach more. You haven't found them yet. So you just be so busy teaching 101 classes, you don't even have the time to notice that you don't have leaders yet. They're going to pop up underneath you because you're out there pouring your heart out. You can get it in bundles of 50 up on the website. It's not profitable for us to sell them in bundles of 1 or 5 because the shipping costs more than the books do. I'm committed, guys, to creating and generating tools for you that do not jack with your business budget and don't take your paycheck. I don't believe in that. I came from poverty. I don't want to charge you for training. That's why boot camp is free. Right? I'm really, really committed to making sure these tools are affordable for you. It's why I print everything in black and white because the minute I go to a color book, you're looking at $4 a book to be able to print them. And I don't want to do that to you. I want you to be able to get tools that are $1, right? So because if you have $1, then you have the ability to share. But the downside of that is then if I sell them in packs of 5 or 10, it costs you more to ship it than it does to actually buy it. So if you want just 1 or 2 books, you can go on Amazon, and all my stuff's on Amazon for the cheapest that Amazon will let me sell it. But if you want them in bundles, split them with your teams, okay? Split them with your teams, or teach classes. I mean, 50 books, you can go through that in 8 weeks. If you're handing them out to the people that you were teaching classes with, if you're making up purple bags and you're carrying 5 of them in your glove compartment, you're going to go through those tools and supplies very quickly. And then use If I Will You to make sure you get the money back for your investment. Get their contact information, Facebook friend them, or you have lost the investment of using those tools. Okay, you have to get it back. Have to get it back from them. And you do that by making sure that you get their contact information. All right. So greatest tool in the business, duplication. And I just gave you some hints for finding leaders. Teach more classes, utilize your game plan, the little $1 prospecting book, use the Sarah's Why video to fire up your team, do boot camp with them, right? Use the mini. They need to know that this is better than what they're doing right now. They need to know that this is their way out. They need to stack it up against their job. So those are a few tips to spike your check. We got hundreds of more tips coming in Game Plan 2. I'm really excited about it. The last thing I cover in there is Elite Express, and those are just little benchmarks that Young Living has given you, and if you hit those benchmarks, they love to love on you. They love to love on you. So it's a whole bunch of free stuff, and it's different free stuff that you pick out based on what you just hit. So if you can do executive 2 months from hitting star, right? Silver in 4 months, gold in 8 months, platinum in 8 months, diamond in 8 months, or if you hit all of those ranks in under 30 months, they just love on you generously with gifts. So always watch your benchmarks and how many months out you are. It's a really good way for incentivizing some of your leaders too, especially ones that are moving quickly. All right, and then once you hold your rank for 3 months, so silver for 3 months, gold for 3 months, platinum for 3 months, Young Living will fly you to their farms. It's crazy. You collect points at each rank to pick up products for your home for Elite Express, and free is good. And then if you hold that rank, you get to go see Gary Young's heart. Right? You get to see his baby. You get to go to Ecuador for platinum and see the Young Living Foundation and Mona, the biggest lavender farm in the world, right? And you get to go to St. Mary's, the Living History Farm. When you hit gold, it was Gary's first farm. It's where everything started. He brought those lavender seeds back in his boots and planted them in the soil at that farm. And Young Living takes you there on their dime when you hold that rank consecutively for 3 months. So it's just an amazing company. It's a company that loves its people, loves you, loves to share the vision of getting oils in every home in the world. All right. Karen says, I'm going to see the farms one day. It's not going to be one day, Karen. You just get out there and teach, share, right? You can hit silver in 6 months. You put your mind to it. You teach a class a week, get those people on Essential Rewards by training the lifestyle, and utilize Game Plan and the boot camp to train your leaders. Pick your leaders up by offering the business opportunity at every single class. That's how I did this. Diamond in 2.5 years. So you have it in you. All right, you have it in you. I don't know what chapters we're doing next. I got to go see which ones I skipped. I'm sorry for the little jumble in it. But we will be gathering all of these videos and putting them up on the website so you're able to find them later. So if you go to my website, I'm going to flip this around, and you go to Start Here. Do you see the Boot Camp button? Click on Boot Camp, and all the information is all collected right here, right? It explains the abridged boot camp and the full boot camp. The first 4 days, almost 5 days, are up there for boot camp, and we'll get the last couple up in the next day or two so that it's all in one spot. And I will never take the original down. That one's still up there. That one's much, much longer than this one. All right. I love you guys. Have an awesome night. I will see you same bat time, same bat channel. Tomorrow we'll cover 2 more chapters. Your homework for tonight, chapter 17. Write down some of those non-FDA compliant actions. Remember, what you do within the 4 walls of your home is up to you, but I challenge you to run a business of integrity. Because I believe that you can share oils without curing disease. I really believe that with my whole heart, okay? Don't be scared, because God has not trained us to live in a spirit of fear. Just love people and meet them in that place, right? Love them and meet them in that place. And then the FDA, it's not a reason to not fight for Diamond for your family. Equip, don't prescribe, right? Equip, don't prescribe. Write down some of the resources where they can do their own research, and then go through chapter 18 in the workbook and map out your check. We talked about rank mapping yesterday, so set down goals for 1, 3, and 6 months. Tomorrow's strategy like you've never seen it before. You're going to be trained inside out and upside down on where to place people. It is not a night you want to miss. It's one of the most powerful nights of all of boot camp. And we're almost done. We only have 4 more of these left, and you guys have made it. You're so close. Remember, if you just got on, just finish the videos with us this week and then go back and watch the rest of the videos. You are never too late. You're always in the perfect place. God bless you. God bless your business, and I'll see you tomorrow.